and welcome to my podcast, Soul Expansion and Inspiration. This is Series 3, Episode 3, and my name is Allie O'Shea. Today, I would like to give a very warm welcome to my guest, Victoria Lorient-Faibish. Welcome, Victoria.
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you here. So
Yes.
Lovely to see you. Looking fabulous as always, of course.
Oh, thank you, darling.
You're welcome. So
I love that you're in Ireland and I'm in Toronto. I mean, come on, that's amazing, right?
Technology is just amazing these days. It absolutely
So blessed.
is. That
so
we can
blessed.
connect with people from all over the planet. It's
I
just
know.
unbelievable. One of these
It's
days we'll be
remarkable.
able to connect with the people on the moon.
Yeah.
Well, not on the moon, I mean on Mars or wherever they are.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you are a registered psychotherapist with
Yeah.
the College of Registered Psychotherapists of Ontario.
Right.
You're also a relationship expert. Woo, woo.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
And you hold a degree in educational psychology. You've been in practice since 1990.
Mhm.
And in addition to psychotherapy training, you have over 8 years of training in Eastern philosophy, body-centered modalities, which
That's
is
right.
absolutely amazing. What an amount of studying and hard work you must have put in for all of
Oh, yeah.
that. But not only that, you also do polarity therapy,
Yeah,
Reiki, new decision therapy, and craniosacral therapy.
that's right.
It's just amazing. So tell us a little bit more about that, and congratulations. I know you probably, because you've been in practice so long, you don't think of it like that anymore. But I mean, these are all huge accomplishments. So, you know,
Oh.
I really feel that to say congratulations is in order.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I have literally about a quarter of a century in experience. I might as well have had a machete in my hand carving a path, you know, in very conservative Toronto at the time when I started my career. And I love that I get to really be the sort of, I created this, what I would call this brand of my own personal style of psychotherapy, which involves body-centered work, energetic work, and then talk therapy, and we combine it all together. And it really works to disrupt the wiring that people have inherited, essentially, from their family culture and from their own traumas. And it's all about inspiring people to be the heroes of their lineage. To be the heroes of their lineage, so that they don't you know, continue what they learned growing up and what they observed.
Exactly. And it's so important, isn't it? Because people think that everything these days is all about learning, but it's also about the unlearning of those things that we have inherited.
I think it's mostly about it's learning the technology to unlearn.
Yeah, exactly.
It's learning the technology that works so that you are able to effectively unlearn what you take as normal, but is dysfunctional.
And you give them those tools.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. And you do that in a practice like one-to-one? Do you do it online as well?
I do online, internationally. I do in the office in Toronto, and then I do one-to-many. I do workshops, and I'm facilitating a workshop that I just facilitated which was very well attended, called Stop Dimming Your Light, in which I really provide this technology to disrupt the multi-generational dysfunction. I call it #disrupt multi-generational family bullshit. Sorry, I don't mean to swear, but you know.
That's okay. I was actually going to come to that a little bit later anyway, so that's good.
Yeah. And so I work in the various, I'm transition. I mean, I'm really busy in the office and in the online stuff, but I'm doing more and more group stuff.
That's fantastic. Absolutely.
And I will have an online program, which I can talk about at some point.
Fantastic. Yeah, we'll get to all of that for sure. I wanted to talk to you, first of all, about, during one of our conversations, you mentioned to me that you were with Mayan Mexicans, who would tell you such things like, oh, it's going to rain. And you'd be like, what? It's a beautiful day. What are you talking about? And, oh, the dolphins are talking to me. And you were kind of like, what in the heck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Would you like to talk to us a little bit about this time in your life?
Yeah, in the late 80s, I was fortunate enough after university to live in Cozumel, Mexico. And in Cozumel, Mexico, I mean, I was working in the hotel business. Does anyone remember watching The Love Boat? I was, I was Julie McCoy, and she went ashore, you know. So I was like an activities director, and I was, you know, organizing the games, and I was organizing the evening entertainment, and I'm an ex-actor. So it was, you know, fabulous for me. It was a lot of fun. You know, can you imagine someone in your 20s living in Cozumel, just having a blast? But, you know, a lot of the staff that worked in the hotel were from Mayan descent, and they would, you know, they were very lovely, positive, quiet, but also really intuitive and psychic. And they would, you know, I would come in with a headache, and they put their hands on my head, and I'm like, what are you doing? Are you trying to get fresh with me, kind of thing? But no, they were, you know, doing some healing for headaches, or they would say, oh, the dolphins, that means a storm's coming. I'm like, it's a beautiful day. What are you talking about? And, you know, sure enough, a big storm would be, you know, would show up in a couple of days, and they'd name it, you know, in 2 days there's going to be, I'm like, what are you? So yeah. And they themselves didn't know too much of their heritage, interestingly enough. They knew a little bit, but it wasn't sort of like, it was just more like a lineage, inherited, intuitive way of experiencing the world. And that, and also I would, a lot of expats, people from the States lived on Cozumel, and they would be there, they said, because it was a place of the emerald tablets were buried there. Or I was like, what? Oh, Atlantean emerald tablets were buried there.
Was that
or the crystal skull. What's that?
Is that to do with Atlantis?
Atlantis, exactly. And they would tell me about these things, and I'd be like really balking at it, really scoffing at it, going, what are you talking about? So for me, that was my very first introduction into, so this was like 87, 88.
Right.
Like hearing these stories and me really judging it as crazy, ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. As we call it, woo woo kind of.
Yeah. But beyond woo woo, I was like, you guys are, something's missing. So at that juncture, I've always filed that, because I would be, these were not stupid people though. None of the people that were talking about these things were stupid, or like, these were intelligent, interesting people who I came to love and respect.
Yes.
But I didn't necessarily understand what they were talking about. What are these emerald tablets? And they had chosen to live in Cozumel because of this supposed vortex that they were speaking about. Right. So I went back to Toronto. My father passed away in 89 of a pretty deadly brain cancer. And I moved back to Toronto in 90 after having been with him while he was dying, and then went back to had a couple of hurricanes, had a lot of traumas there. And started to understand upon my father's death that, well, maybe there's more to life than just this experience of skin and bones and meat and obviousness and two-dimensional, even three-dimensional living.
Yeah.
And so I began
spiritual, in other words.
What's that?
That we are spiritual.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even have that notion. I just knew that there was something else. And so I went about the business of studying. Yeah. And so my first journey into all of it was reading a book by Michael Newton called Journey of Souls, which blew my ever-loving mind, essentially. I recommend anybody and everybody read that book. Fantastic. Journey of Souls.
Wonderful.
And then I read a very basic book by the wonderful and amazing Louise Hay.
Yeah.
And You Can Heal Your Life, because I went into quite a depression after he died. So for me, this was the beginning of understanding that there's a technology that we can employ to change our life.
Yes.
That there is something there's an unseen realm that is very much a part of our experience. And that became like game changing.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had found a way to change the legacy I had been living in terms of my family culture, which is what I call the family culture. Right. And I just realized that I needed to really go on a trek, an internal spiritual trek, to understand who I am, what I am, and then to understand that I can rewire it all. I can remake it all. I can redesign it all. I don't have to live any legacy that I've been left. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
It may feel normal, but it isn't necessary.
Exactly. And I think a lot of people don't realize that either, that we can change all of those things. We can rewire our brain, as you said.
Yeah.
And I think for you, the catalyst was from our discussion before, even though it was devastating when your father died and you were so young, that it gave you the freedom, however, to be yourself, to follow your own adventures and to follow your own authenticity in the world and what it is that you wanted. And then you went on from there to read that book, The Journey of Souls, and it just opened up everything for you.
Precisely. I mean, my father was like when he died, it was like I lost a rudder and a boat and I was adrift. Because even though it wasn't by any means always positive, he was a very strong energy that really informed, you know, the question, well, what would he think? What does he think? What would he do? What would he, you know, experience? And so I completely had no self-culture. I had no self-culture. I had a lot of a family culture influence, and certainly my father culture. And I'm not talking about country or religion. I'm talking about a culture is ways of being and patterns and habits that we silently and not silently and osmotically inherit multi-generationally.
Yeah, I could totally relate. I totally get it. Yeah. I'd say probably you were one of those people, correct me if I'm wrong, that maybe went to him for his advice quite a lot and things like that.
Well, he could be a bit of a brutal guy. So it wasn't so much that I went for advice, because sometimes one would leave advice getting with massive amounts of judgment and criticism and shaming. So I really didn't do a lot of that. I did a lot of hearing his diatribes that informed my way of looking at the world.
Okay.
More than anything.
Yeah, I get it. Wow. And your mother was still around at this time?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So you're a published author of two books.
Yes, absolutely.
One is called Find Yourself Culture, which is about moving from depression and anxiety to monumental self-acceptance. And
that's right.
You have another one called Connection. Do you want to talk a little bit about your books? And
yes, absolutely. So the second one's called Connecting, Rewire Your Relationship Culture. The first one is called, as you said, Find Your Self Culture, because I found that in my practice, after 20 plus years of doing it at the time, because I've been at it for 25 years plus these days. So I realized that as a holistic psychotherapist, people are coming to me to work on their depression, anxiety, life transitions, relationship issues. And the theme that's most common among people, like what I want to say is that depression is complicated, and it isn't one thing. It's a multitude of things. I call it a perfect storm. You know, there's the genetics, there's the biochemistry, there's the belief system, there's the environment, there's the relational experiences, the traumas. There's all these different things, this big mix of things that sometimes will create depression. Not always, but oftentimes it will, that combination.
Sure.
And so when people come to me as a holistic person, they're not looking to be medicated, although sometimes medication is necessary for people who are very seriously depressed and don't want to live and are looking to take their life all the time. So we need the medication to cap the low, but medication alone, honestly, is for nothing. It'll just make you not necessarily feel things. But so I have, a methodology by which is very holistic. And what is the key thing is really facilitating a pathway for people to go on an expedition of understanding what they want, what they don't want, what they like, what they don't like. I mean, I have had people in my office have a full anxiety attack when I ask them, so what do you feel and what do you want? Yeah. Because they're so used to not knowing what they feel and not knowing what they want. And I can relate to that. Sure. That was my journey early on. So when that starts to be revealed, we start to do what I call healing the cycle of self-denial. So it's a system that I put together, which is when we have a family culture that says what you think doesn't matter, what you want doesn't matter. The family culture says who you are and what you need and what you want is not of consequence or does not matter. And then the person begins to believe that wholesale. Yet they are human.
Yeah.
And as human beings, they have needs and they have wants and they want to be seen, but they've never been taught how to ask for what they need. And so they become rageous in how they express their needs. And then they feel rejected because people don't want the rage. And then they go, oh, right, I'm rejected because I shouldn't have needs. And then the cycle of self-denial just perpetuates. So a lot of getting out of depression and anxiety is breaking the cycle of self-denial and saying, I matter, I'm valuable, I'm a person of merit just because I'm alive, And that is crucial. That is so crucial.
Absolutely.
So, and then that changes everything. That just really starts to alter the entire way of a person looking at themselves in life. And then what happens is that I also bring the technology of visualization, because my website is called Visualization Works, because it does. You can rewire everything through visualization. And also a concerted discipline act of working with mantras and affirmations. And also not only mantras and affirmations, but herbs. If you're not on a medication, you're at a milder level of depression, there's some amazing ways to get your nervous system to improve, your stomach to improve. Brilliant. Because 95% of serotonin is made in the stomach.
Wow, I didn't know that one.
I didn't either until I went to a conference. I was like, okay. Got it.
Wow.
So we need to have a good working digestion. We need to, so 95% of serotonin is manufactured in our gut. And we have we have all these receptors in our gut that are, blocking the production of serotonin because of massive amounts of the stress hormones. And the stress hormone, the cortisol, and the adrenaline, that blocks the serotonin. So we really got to get them habituated in breathing in a different way. And not only breathing in a different way, but experiencing tremendous amount of focus in affirmations and mantras. And then from there, a practice of eating in ways that are going to support the gut.
Yes.
The studies around the gut are essential.
Yes. I'm actually doing a gut health program at the moment. So
I mean, it's everything.
I do know about it. And actually, after I said that I hadn't heard that, and you said you didn't either, it kind of took me a couple of seconds to register until you said the gut health and the serotonin, but I have heard that actually.
But I thought it was all made in the brain. I'm wrong. It's made in the gut.
People, actually. And I mean, it's only something that I've heard recently. And that's why when you said it, I said, I haven't heard of that. And then I was thinking, actually, I have on this program. But yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Well, it's just incredible. And it's and I, interestingly, Allie, it's weird and interesting, I think, is that I'm talking the 90s.
Yes.
Because I also have a certification in herbology and all that stuff. And I would start every single depressed person that walked into my office had stomach problems. And I would always recommend people go on, I'm not a naturopath, but I do herbology and I do understand about the natural ways of treating different things. I was like, you know what? Let's have you begin on some probiotics. Just probiotics. Start on probiotics. Begin there.
Yeah.
And they would come in, a week later and go, I feel better. I feel better in my mind. And this was way before, like Stanford just last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, within the past 5 years, Stanford really doubled down on the studies of gut health as it relates to depression and anxiety. It was not at all in the zeitgeist of this planet, in the vernacular of this planet.
Yeah.
But the universe was definitely helping us, those of us who are intuitive, to work at that level. And because polarity therapy, craniosacral, Reiki, I'm a Reiki master, is so profoundly intuitive yet body-centered. It's a combination, polarity is a combination of traditional Chinese medicine and shiatsu-like stuff and energy work and talk therapy, and it's a combination, it's a 3-year program. Dr. Randolph Stone, who was an osteopath, created this. And combining that with Reiki and combining that with craniosacral, there is such an opportunity to tune into, you know, the guides.
To your sessions.
What's that?
I'd love to come to one of your sessions.
Come to Toronto. I'd love to come to Ireland and speak to your groups, and I can facilitate that information and really double down on that.
Me want to come and have a session, like all that integrated together. It just sounds so wonderful.
It's powerful. It's powerful. But to tune into that intuition was saying to me, gut, work on the gut. And so I doubled down on that as part of my protocol. Yeah. And what's in the gut? The solar plexus, your power center. So it made sense to me that if we work on the fire in the gut, and we work on improving digestion, and we work on your thinking, and we work on your habituated patterns, you are really likely to reverse depression and anxiety. But you got to get it. You got a person. I say to people, are you in this fight? Because I'm not going to fight for you if you're not in this fight.
Exactly. Yeah. They have to be willing to
take be in the fight.
The steps. Yeah.
Yeah. Get in the fight and get in it hard. Yeah. And I'm hardline with that.
So can I ask you, you said to me there a few moments ago that most people who suffer from depression, now you and I have already spoken, so you know that I have a history of depression.
Right. Yeah.
Not anymore. Woohoo, go me.
Yeah, you're free.
But my question is, you said a lot of people who have depression have stomach pains.
Well, it seems to be, I mean, I wouldn't say that categorically. It seems to be an anecdotal relationship.
I just wondered, because I suffered from IBS, so I just wondered, was there a connection with those?
Well, there is. Scientifically, there is.
Gut health again, you know, isn't it really?
Yeah, there absolutely. Science has proven that there's an absolute connection between stomach issues, stomach pain, stomach disorder, IBS, and there's a likelihood that the brain is not going to be working well.
Yeah, perfect.
So double down on probiotic, enzymes, vegetables.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And it definitely works. It definitely works.
Oh, and fermented foods like sauerkraut and that kind of stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
Kimchi.
Fantastic. So I wanted to go back to your first book for a moment.
Oh, yes.
Just reading the description of it, it seems to me that a good portion of it, now not all of the book, obviously, but a good portion of it is connected in with self-love. And as you've already talked about self-acceptance and all of that type of thing.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But I talk a lot about things like boundaries.
Yes.
I have a whole section on boundaries and boundary communication. I have a section on
really
narcissism.
Important.
It's essential. I have a section on family culture, section on narcissism, coping with narcissism, codependency. What is codependency? Meaning, do you know what codependency is, or I can tell your views?
You're reliant on another person for a lot of things.
Codependent, yes, but it's really the depth and breadth of codependency. It's an addiction in many ways, in which we often will learn it from our family culture, which is our self-esteem rises and falls based on other people's tone, what other people say, think, and do, essentially. Okay. And I teach people how to unhook from other people's expectations, and also, you know, how to undo guilt and shame. All those things that are all about what keep us tethered to things that are just, and I'm not talking about amputation, because I don't believe that people should amputate wholesale. You know, are they beating you? Amputate them. Are they stealing from you? Amputate them. But if they're just pissing you off, don't amputate them. Learn, grow, work your program so you can learn how to be an empowered person in the face of difficult personalities.
Yeah. And just set up your boundaries. Make sure that you've got your boundaries in place. That's really...
Yeah, because if all you do is cut people out, you're never going to get the opportunity to practice so that you can grow.
Yeah. I mean, it absolutely sounds fascinating, because you're so informed on all of those topics. I'm sure like the listeners would love to read your book.
Amazing. And they can get it on my website.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that as well at the end. We'll get all your connections and where to get everything. I watched one of your videos on YouTube. Well, I actually watched a few
Oh,
since
great.
I last spoke to you. And one of them was on being bullied as a child, which I also was. Okay.
Yeah.
We have that in common as well. But you say that it informs every aspect of your life, as it does do for most people who.
Oh, absolutely.
So you say you were bullied for your confidence, okay? Which is unusual to me, because I usually think of people, or most people would think of people who usually get bullied, that are being picked on as an insecurity for not being confident, but rather their looks, or maybe they smell bad or something like that. It's never usually in what I've seen around somebody being so confident as yourself was. Do you think, not do you think, as a result though, you've said that you still work on your confidence. And my question to you is, how do you still today in your daily practice take steps to continue to do this and to build your own self-confidence?
Well, I think that kids bullied me because I was compensating for what I was feeling at home, that I didn't have a voice at home. And so it was very difficult. It was like, there was definitely some bullying at home. And then when I would go out there, I'd be like, I'll take it. I'll do it. I know what's right. I was I've come to understand it. What's that?
Vocal?
Well, vocal, and maybe looking to steal the limelight a lot, that kind of thing, but maybe not even that, because I sort of think about things. I think I was just a kid that could get targeted because possibly I was emotional, I was loud, I was expressive, look at me, I'll do it, I know controlling a little bit, those kinds of things. And I think that kids will respond to that not well. And then I got, kind of really rejected. But as an adult, those characteristics became very useful to become very single-pointed focus and emotionally self-sufficient through my life. And also I tempered some of that, thank goodness, because it just was untenable. I tempered it, I chilled it out a little bit. I'm okay to be in a conversation. I'm a really good therapist, so most of therapy is about listening and then, not overpowering the other person. But when you come from a family that doesn't have communication boundaries, that's just what you're imitating, essentially. And so my life has been about self-introspection, self-analysis, becoming very conscious of my being, so that I can be of most service to others, as well as really loving and accepting and supporting myself. That's been a huge, important part of my journey. But I really worked well with being on the planet to serve at a level that I do, giving a lot of information, doing a lot for other people, but at the same time, I'm of no use to other people if I don't fill my own cup first. Exactly. So I do a lot of self-care in that regard. And I've got to watch for that, because I can be overly outward, and it has to be a balance. And it's stuff I still work on. Absolutely. It's stuff I still work on.
Yeah. It's so important for everybody to do, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Another video that you have up there, which I can totally relate to, I won't go into why, but on narcissism.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk to the people about narcissism a little bit?
Yeah.
Because you had a video that was very powerful that went viral on your YouTube channel, which, we'll give everybody the link to and all of that as well later on. But do you want to talk a little bit about narcissism and how it affects people growing up in a home with narcissists as their parents?
Totally. Well, what happens in that experience is that with the narcissistic parent, I had a letter come to me, a viewer come to me who wrote about her narcissistic mother. And so I read the letter and then spoke to it. And that's the one that went viral. It's called Narcissistic Parent Collateral Damage. And essentially what a person learns is that the only emotions in the room, the only wants, needs, thoughts that are acceptable or to be heard, listened to at all, are the ones of the parent. And that the child learns that they don't matter. Nothing that they think, say, or do is of any consequence, which is the cycle of self-denial. Because in order to be loved and in order to be accepted and not rejected from the tribe called your family, you need to adjust. And the adjusting involves tremendous amount of self-denial, self-squashing. Squash yourself down. I have no needs that I have no needs that are valuable. No. And that's what the legacy is of the narcissist parent.
Yeah.
And from the narcissist mother, it's even, I contend that it's even deeper, because it's the wound of the mama, you know. That's such a profound connection that we have. With the narcissist father, it's frickin' profound, but it's maybe not as, the mama wound is big.
Yeah.
And I think that the biggest impact is that the children of narcissists will either, if they don't work on themselves, become a narcissist themselves to survive. They basically become that, so that they're like, okay, that's how we get something, is we become. And I want to talk about what narcissism actually is, because there's toxic narcissism. It's on a continuum, right, Allie? It's on a continuum. When we're born, we're narcissists.
Right.
Feed me, love me, pay attention to me. I don't care if you're tired. It's 2 a.m. Me. Right? That's the children. That's as babies, right?
Yeah.
And then that gets socialized out of us developmentally, and socializing out of us where we learn empathy and compassion, and we become a little less narcissistic, and then we want to share, and then we become community oriented, and that's normal development.
Yes. Yeah.
But if that doesn't get socialized out of us, that narcissism as a child, and then you couple that with traumas, and you couple that with injustice, and you couple that with environmental problems, and then bring in some mental illness, oh, well, depression, some anxiety, obsessive, OCD, you're off to the races in creating malignant narcissism, where you're like a person that either, you know, that becomes extremely adept at charming and seducing other people into your lair, so that you can use them and take advantage of them and squash them so you can feel good. And that's essentially, you know, I say to people who are in the dating world, watch for these symptoms of seduction.
They're narcissists. So,
What's that?
These people who grow up to become narcissists themselves, do they actually know what they're doing? Do they know that
It depends on where they are in the continuum. So a narcissist that is fully at the end of the continuum will not end up in a therapy office. Or if they do, as they sometimes do with their spouse, it'll all be their fault. I'm just in this office because it's their fault.
Yeah.
And then I got your number, buddy, or gal, whatever. I got your number. It's like, oh, okay, so you're here because of them. So you don't take any accountability. A narcissist, a true malignant narcissist, will have no accountability. It'll just be a blame and shame fest. Okay. So when you're a little less down the continuum, as I have seen, is there hope? Yes. Right. There's absolute hope. But I find in relationship world, narcissists that are not as malignant are sort of in the middle place. They'll be in a therapy office because they've been rejected a lot. They've been abandoned. People are like, you know what, you go deal with yourself because I want nothing to do with you. And they come in feeling down and depressive and rejected, and they end up, of course, in a therapy office, hopefully, and then they get someone like me who says, okay, let's start to find out, you know, what got you here. Yeah. What actually got you here. And then they'll either go, I don't want to hear it and I'm out of here, or like, okay, I want to hear this so that I can start to heal the patterns of how I'm with people. And what I want to say to people, newsflash, people who are very commitment phobic, panicky about commitment, you know, there's also a bit of a good dosing of narcissism in there. So caution with the push-pull boyfriend-girlfriend. Caution with the push-pull, people that are push-pulling, you know, I'm here, I'm not, see you later, I disappeared. Ghosting, I'm here, and then I'm ghosting you. And, you know, we'll find out that there's quite a bit of sociopathic, I don't care how you feel
Right. Yeah,
no empathy.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad I don't have to deal with any of that.
Great.
I've been with my husband 29 years, so I don't need to worry about any of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a precious thing. My husband and I have been together 28 plus years. My relationship counseling, or my relationship world that I work with people, is about long-term. My second book is about, the whole thing is about long-term passionate marriage, or long-term passionate relationships. It doesn't have to be marriage. It can be something other than that. But it's all about the recipe to get to that, the recipe to get to that.
Fantastic. Amazing stuff. Thank you for sharing all that with us. It's absolutely fascinating. I find it very intriguing. I could sit here and talk to you all day long. I really could. So you say the book Louise Hay changed your life. Do you want to talk a little bit about that book and how it changed your life as well as?
Yeah, I just understood that I actually, a split second, and we all do, a split second before any thought, we are choosing that thought. Mm-hmm. And people say, well, that's just the way I think. That's just my personality. I'm like, no. You're either contributing to the mess of your thinking or to the cleanup of your thinking at any given moment.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying be a positivity addict, which I call New Age-itis. I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about experiencing personal responsibility for your thoughts, which is not blaming yourself for your thoughts. It's saying, okay, right, I have an opportunity at every turn to choose my thought. Now, here's what I don't want people to do, is to go into denial about what they're really feeling. No, go about the business of deep dive. There's no way around the mountain. You only can go through the mountain. So get down into that mountain and go deep into that mountain and go, why do I keep feeling so poorly, so shittily, so negatively about these things? Because affirmations are important, but denial is also extremely unhelpful. So understand, and that's part of the process of therapy, is you're taking your repetitive negative thoughts or destructive or shame-based thoughts, and you're troubleshooting them so that you can understand where they came from, what they're about, how they're serving you in some way, and can we transform how they're serving you, because they seem to be giving you protection and safety most often, and that's not a bad thing. But to give yourself protection and safety by building walls and isolating yourself from other people is dysfunctional. So you're going about it in a misaligned way. So it's not about judging yourself. It's about, I got itchy nose, and that usually means little angelic energies are here confirming everything I'm saying. So thank you, angels, but I'm itchy. What's that?
I said fabulous.
Yeah. So essentially there's this opportunity to not shame yourself when you have these repetitive negative thoughts, but you can clean up the misaligned ways that you're trying to actually help yourself through these negative ways of being.
Yeah.
So instead of isolating yourself, you find support so that you don't isolate yourself. Instead of being, people come, help me with my communication. I'm always angry. Okay, well, what's the anger about? Well, the anger is often about, I need to speak up for myself. Okay, great. I think it's a good thing you want to speak up for yourself, but let's have it happen not in a misaligned way. Let's have it happen in a way that's constructive and positive.
Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you. I want to ask you as well, because your website is called Visualization Works.
Visualizationworks.com.
Yeah. And I'm a huge, I've manifested lots of things using visualization.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like massive things.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, what was the biggest thing that you've manifested for you using visualization?
My entire career.
Wow.
I mean, literally, I have a very blessed career, and I visualized, I started it from nothing, from zero. Nobody, I did it myself. And I just got into the real clear aspect of, how I would like to live my life. I wasn't interested in getting a 9-to-5 job. Yeah. I was interested in being self-employed, but I also was interested in not starving. So I really, really got into the very specific visualization of manifesting clients. This is in 1990, 91. Long ass time ago. And just manifesting clients to start, and then manifesting, talking to the universe about how I could be of best of service. And so I would imagine myself feeling in a way, because it's so important to really get a sense of the feeling in a way that I was servicing the best possible, highest, most optimal, most profound knowledge to others. And so I would imagine myself experiencing that feeling.
Brilliant.
And from there, it's just been a magnificent career that, and don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't feel afraid, but I know that when I visualize, things come to fruition.
Yeah.
I was feeling kind of frustrated recently that I'm part of an emerging speaker. I'm part of a speakers program and speaker slam, and I won 3rd place in a very tough competition, speaker slam. Anyways, a lot of my fellow competitors were getting their videos from the competition viral. I was like, come on, universe, I'd like one of my videos to kind of go a little widely. What's happening? And so this was languishing for months.
I think one of my friends was in that competition with you.
Oh.
Her name's Leanne.
Leanne Babcock.
Yes.
She's a dear friend of mine.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, her video just went viral. Is going viral too.
No, I'm interviewing her at the end of the month. Yeah.
Ah, Leanne is magnificent.
Yes.
So I'm so glad you're going to interview her. Her and I are good friends.
That's so weird, isn't it? That's because it's totally unconnected how we came connected.
Well, she found out about Speaker Slam through me and my experience of Speaker Slam. So yeah, and I'm so glad, we met just prior to that.
Didn't she?
What's that?
I think she came 4th.
She did, but she should have come in, placed. We commiserated about these things. Yes, but
sorry, it just connected for me there when you said that they were getting picked up by like places like Goldcast, because I was speaking to her the other day and she told me hers had been picked up.
Yeah, mine got picked up by the Power of Positivity after me having a massive conversation with the universe through visualization of, it's time. I'm ready to go much wider, universe. I'm ready to speak much wider, much bigger audiences. I'm ready to have this message come out from the office to more people, to the world, and a viral video will assist that. And my competition was about me talking about my 8-year journey with trying to have a child, which I never did succeed at. But it was an talk about visualizing, and then not getting what you want. However, let me just say, everyone, that the journey of 8 years was a game-changing, life-altering journey of self-love and self-awareness and self-support that was worth every moment. And at 54, I'm okay with not having kids. Really, I got a great marriage. I'm super. My books are my babies, and my students are. I feel fine. I'm great.
I'll airmail you a couple of mine.
No problem. Keep them. But what I will.
You sure?
Oh, totally. I'm so at peace not being a mother, because I feel very, very filled with. My life is so full. My life is so full. I know that if I was a parent, I probably wouldn't be as prolific as I am in my writing, in my creativity, and in my practice in general. Yeah. But just to complete that, my visualization, my video about that journey is on the Power of Positivity. And the day I went, okay, it has to happen, I got a call that afternoon with the news that my video had gone viral. Brilliant. On the Power of Positivity. So, I mean, it just works. Visualization works.
Absolutely. 1,000,000%. And congratulations. That is absolutely brilliant. I love it. Absolutely.
Thank you. And don't be scattered in your visuals. Focus is everything.
Absolutely. Focus is totally everything.
Everything.
Absolutely. Brilliant. I'm so delighted for you. That's wonderful.
Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate it.
And so you have a YouTube channel called Courageous Conversations, where you talk
with Victoria. Yeah.
With Victoria.
Courageous Conversations with Victoria.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you talk about many wonderful topics as we've discussed some of them there. You've talked about bullying, you've talked about narcissism, you've talked about self-acceptance, you've talked about your 8-year journey on there, I believe, because I believe one of my friends actually watched that.
Yeah.
I didn't get to watch that yet, but I've watched a few of your videos. So
Yeah.
do you want to tell everybody what the YouTube link is so that they can
Yes.
find you and subscribe to you for that
Please.
channel?
I'm just going to find, because I changed the name of it of late. It's Courageous Conversations with Victoria. That's essentially what it is. And so just youtube.com//Courageous Conversations with Victoria. They can also join my closed Facebook group called Courageous Conversations with Victoria Lorient-Faibish, my whole name.
Yeah.
Find me there, because it's a place of support. It's a place where we share with each other and it's a closed group, so it's a way to kind of privately air out your stuff, but also get support, inspire other people, inspire yourself. It's quite a powerful space, I would say.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
Love that.
And they can connect with me there, and they can connect with me on Facebook as well. But that's a great place to connect with me, through my group.
Fantastic. And that is on Facebook though, is it?
That is on Facebook, and it's called Courageous Conversations with Victoria Lorient-Faibish.
Okay. And
So they can do youtube.com/Courageous Conversations with Victoria, and then the group is Courageous Conversations with Victoria Lorient-Faibish. I had to do my whole name because more specific on Facebook.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you for that. That's wonderful. I'm sure you get a lot of people joining that because you're so knowledgeable on the the topics that you're talking about, because you've got the background study done and all your qualifications. So amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted to speak to you on one more thing. You've spoken about how changing long-standing patterns is extremely difficult, as we all have our comfort zones.
Yeah.
And you say that the reality is, if you want to create change and growth, that we must all need to withstand a little bit of pain in order to avoid the bigger pain that can actually destroy our lives. And I just wonder, would you like to talk a little bit on that as well?
Yeah, I really feel we need to understand that the currency that you need to pay for growth, change, and to live the life you want to actually live, free of the encumbrances of toxic family patterns. You've got to be able to withstand a little bit of pain, called the pain of guilt when you say no, shame when you expose your true self, your vulnerable self.
Yeah.
You're going to feel these uncomfortable things. Do not be the slave to your discomfort. Conversely, do not be a comfort junkie.
Yeah.
Don't be a comfort junkie. You will never win or expand if you do that. So I say, withstand a little bit of pain, because you're going to avoid the much bigger pain of self-betrayal, of self-loathing, when you do not actually free yourself from that stuff.
Brilliant.
And there's a video on that too.
Yeah, I know.
On my YouTube channel. Yeah, you saw it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I recommend that everybody go and watch your videos.
Yeah, it's just free information. And I have a lot of articles on my website, free information.
Very informative, very informative.
Yeah.
So, Victoria, what are the services that if somebody online was looking for your help on something, and then again, if somebody was looking for your help in the physical reality in Canada and could come to your space, what are the services that you offer if people would like to get in touch with you?
So my practice is really, really busy right now. I book quite far in advance, and what I'm interested in people connecting with me is, well, if they want my book overseas, it's not free shipping. So for anything other than Canada, US, if you want to access my book, access Find Yourself Culture on Audible or iTunes, or as an ebook, Kindle, Kobo, all that stuff. Right. It's all there. My second book, Connecting, Rewire Your Relationship Culture, the blue one right there, that also accessible, not through Audible, but through all the ebooks. So for Europe, for the rest of the world, ebook is best. Okay. I know not everyone's into that, but there it is. If you don't want to pay a F load of shipping.
Yeah. Okay.
And then if you are in Canada, US, I'm offering some very, very discounted shipping deals. So you can go to my website and you can get them there.
Great.
At Visualization Works. But really what's happening, Allie, is that I am really preparing for an online program that will go internationally for Stop Dimming Your Light.
Fantastic.
Stop Dimming Your Light. And that's a great, lovely title, cute, fun. I love the title, but it's so profound as technology teaching of literally how to undo the wiring that you learned from trauma and family culture BS multi-generationally, and to understand very specifically why you dim your light, what the ways in which you dim your light, and how to stop dimming your light specifically. Not just blah, blah, blah. I'm a very specific, task-oriented, informationally oriented teacher / psychotherapist. So that is where, if people want to connect with me, they want to join my mailing list and become part of my community, my group, so that they can start to become aware, because I will do some one-on-one with people, but it takes a while to get in. So I want people to know that the better way to connect with me is my books. Get in touch with me if they want to start to join begin to be part of my group that is going to come soon with this Stop Dimming Your Light program online. It's going to be like an 8-week program that will have a lot of one-on-one, but also group calls, and it'll be powerful, period. It'll be powerful. It'll be wonderful.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And maybe what we'll do is, when it all goes down, Allie, I can give you a code so people can have a discount. It's all in its infancy phases right now. I do this live. I do Stop Dimming Your Light live. I'm doing a live. I just did a live talk. I got another live talk in December, another live one in January. But I'd like to take this widely because it's so powerful and it'll change lives. It'll change lives. So we'll speak about that.
Yeah, I'm sure people would love that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Is there anything else, one piece of a golden nugget maybe that you have that you'd like to leave the audience with today, Victoria?
I would say the most important thing is really start to understand that at any given moment, you are choosing what you're thinking about something.
Yeah.
So first start to buy into that. Buy into that you can decide how you perceive a situation. And also understand that your mind is a massive, massive, massive powerhouse of a tool to change absolutely everything going on in your life. And you have that ability.
Brilliant. Brilliant advice. Well, thank you so, so much. And it's been such an honor having you here. Oh. You're a wealth of knowledge and information. It's been a fantastic interview, and I really appreciate your time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so delighted that I was invited and to be able to speak to Irish people. Love you.
We have to give a shout out to Heidi Allen, of course, who connected us together.
Heidi Allen, Positive People Army. She's amazing.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Heidi Allen, for introducing us.
Yes, absolutely. I adore her. And you are a spectacularly bright light on the planet. So thank you for inviting me, Allie.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, Victoria. And thank you to our listeners, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you, and namaste.
Namaste.